Welcome to the show. Today we are once again going to discuss Middle East, Iran and American conflict. In fact, in last 24 hours or so, there was a halt, there was a pause. But is it going to de-escalate the situation, or is going to, once again escalate the situation? I have a very prominent guest with me, Mr. Dr. Muhammad Azhar. He's an international relations expert. Thank you very much, sir, for joining. What's your assessment? Do you think that this pause is going to be lasted for a longer period of time, and the warring parties are going to resume the discussions, or it's only for the timely pause and there could be a more, volatile or a dangerous kind of attacks on each other?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me on your show. You have started with the difficult question straight away. Of course, I must admit that it's very difficult to understand the way this war is progressing. In my particular opinion, the discussions have already started. That is why the pause. So the negotiations have always started, not directly, but indirectly, as was the case before. But this will continue the few days, perhaps, this lull, and then maybe a little bit of bombing again. I don't see a permanent ceasefire happening immediately, because there are other things happening in the surrounding, which probably will have time to discuss, which are affecting the outcome of this war as well.
Strait was open, in fact, when this conflict started back in end of the Feb. And today, most of the time, the Americans, they don't talk of, nuclear program or the nuclear facilities or whatever they, on the basis of which they attacked Iranians along with the Israelis. Today we are talking about the safe passage. Today we are talking about the communication channels. So do you think that the Iranians have succeeded in diverting the entire course of narrative of the American policymakers and the administration?
Yes, you are right. And if you allow me to go back to the context a bit to understand, maybe in my opinion, the way things are happening, because normally we try to make it very simplistic on the media. We put everything on Trump and Netanyahu, and then we think that the decision making in United States is so simplistic that only one person can take all the decisions and put a superpower into war, which probably is not the case. And for that, we need to understand who is running the foreign policy. I mean, I'm sure you understand that when we were studying international relations, the first thing that we were told about United States foreign policy was that United States government, the president, they primarily run the domestic politics of United States, and the foreign policy is run by the deep state. A bit likely it happens here as well. So we need to understand the objectives of the deep state and why this continues to go on. Because people ask this question, what is America gaining out of it? It's not America's war. It's not in the interest of America. But the oligarchy, the ruling elite, if you just check the figures of the Trump family or the big mafias who are running the banks or hedge funds or all that, who are represented by APAC, the America-Israel Public Affairs Committee. They call it Public Affairs Committee, but they are actually the people who are running the foreign policy of these two countries. Then you will realize that, I was reading somewhere, only uh, Trump family's assets have grown since he has taken over this new presidency by about $10 billion. And then I'm sure you understand what is happening in the poly markets and all that. So the people who are taking decisions, who entered the war and who are running the war, they are actually minting money out of this war. So they are gaining something. And then behind the shrouds, what is happening around Israel? You see, you started, as you very rightly said, it was an Israel's war. And America was supposedly in it, playing for Israel. But where is Israel? In the last few days, have you heard anything about Israel fighting this war? Israel is on the sides. Israel is doing its own business, and the international media is keeping shrouds on that. What is happening? They have almost controlled Gaza. Now, yesterday, their cabinet has approved that peacekeeping force to enter Gaza, which is Board of Peace. We are also a member of that. We have subscribed to that. So now they are almost completely taking over Gaza and its build-up. The way Trump said in the very beginning that we'll turn Gaza into a resort or something. Now they are taken the first step over there. You see, Lebanon, a vast part of Lebanon has been taken over by Israel. The activities going on in the West Bank. So Israel is doing that quietly, while we are all focused on Strait of Hormuz, which very rightly you said was never an issue. It was open, but now it has become an issue. So I think it is very important to understand that context to get out of that confusion,
Okay.
because the international
Okay.
media is running us into a different direction.
Okay, doctors, you mentioned naturally there is an integrated joint policies, and then the decisions if we talk of at the state levels, and same goes to Americans as well. You mentioned that there's a deep state uh, which might have taken and cognized all the aspects of this the conflict which is going on. Uh, then you mentioned about the money making by the Trump family, that their assets have gone beyond $10 billion or so in last maybe not even 2 years of his
Yes.
presidency. So are you referring that it is the Trump who's interested in this conflict because somebody has said that war is a good business, or it is the deep state which wants to continue this conflict to make Trump rich and keep on swelling his assets?
Yeah, thank you. I said not just the Trump's family. That is only a small part of it. But the other, as I mentioned, those who are running the capitalists, who are running the military-industrial complex, for example, who are running the insurances, for example, who are running the hedge funds, they have gained more than even the Trump. And if you recall, as you said in 2013, there was a documentary which said all wars are bankers' war. See, the banks are always involved because all the banks are run by the big capitalists, and it is in their interest. And it is accepted by even the Americans that United States economy is a war economy. Peace does not suit United States of economy. You know, I've been saying this for almost now 10 years. The moment there is peace in the world, United States will break up. United States will cease to exist. So that is the engine that is running it. And then they have their plans, as I said, because they want to strengthen Israel, that greater Israel project, that is also running side by side. And before this war, all the focus was on Gaza. and everybody had started, even the Europeans under the pressure of their governments, they had started condemning what is happening in Gaza. Now that has quietened because of this war, and Israel is quietly doing all what it was doing earlier, but no noise. And the same Europeans now, I just today morning I heard that Germany has enhanced its military program with Israel. So you see that thing, because the public pressure has gone off Gaza and Israel, so that thing has started again. So the overall context of this is that those who are running the show, they want to strengthen Israel, and in the same breath, they are strengthening themselves also. So, of course, Trump is part of that. So, Trump will also have benefits because of this.
Okay. Now, since we are discussing, since you have mentioned, and you have rightly mentioned, because today we see that the Israelis continuously bombing the remaining part of the Gaza. They are destroying it completely. If there is something left over there. Secondly, they are also expanding their operations into West Bank. They are demolishing the houses and the infrastructure of the Muslims,
Very well.
Palestinians there as well. And on the third side, they have taken over almost 20 to 25% of the Lebanese land as well, where they have established their posts. Their military is permanently deployed over there. So when we are discussing about it, that the Israeli expansionist designs are being materialized, uh, practically, and the world is silent about it. What about the Arab countries? What about the Iranians? What about the United Nations Security Council? If we people sitting in Islamabad or in Pakistan can discuss, do you think that the rest of the world, they are not watching it? Why they are silent? Why they are deliberately trying to give the Israelis a chance to occupy the entire remaining Palestinian land?
Forgive me for saying this, but you see, most of the world and most of the governments are being run by the same oligarchies, the capitalist and all that. And they are in a way complicit to it. As I said, I feel sorry, I've been openly saying it against this. We are part of it. We became part of the this board of peace. We also subscribe to going against our allies China and Russia. We subscribe to that so-called uh, peace in Gaza, which never was peace. As you said, it is one-sided peace. Israel is continuously killing people in Palestine, but we have told the Hamas that they cannot retaliate. Now that was so. Similarly, this is happening. As I said, it was public pressure which forced the governments to condemn Israel and start taking some action against Israel. Now that the public pressure is off, they are quietly back doing business with them. It's business for them. It's not about sovereignty or something. So the bottom line is that United Nations Security Council, as you mentioned, is totally ineffective, and that's why Trump made a board of peace, which is totally out of the United Nations mandate. If United Nations was effective, there would not have been a board of peace headed by Mr. Trump. So yes, people know it what is happening, but they don't want to go against United States. They don't want to go against the people who run the governments, who influence their own governments as well. So I think that is the dilemma, that we talk in personal, we talk very good things, but when it comes to personal interest, we back up, we don't take any substantive actions.
Since the Houthis have also, somehow threatening the communication channels at Bab el Mandab. And on the other side, the Iranians are sitting the IRGC at the Strait of Hormuz. Do you think that this war can spread beyond the region, beyond the international borders of Iranians? In fact, it has gone naturally when the Iranians retaliate. They hit, the GCC countries and up to the Jordan. So, do you think if the present situation continues, it's going to danger the peace in the entire region, especially when the Houthis are threatening the communication channels on the, in the Red Sea as well?
I think that's an excellent and very important question. Not even Lebanon, you must have heard 2 days back, even Ukraine hit an Iranian tanker which was taking supplies supposedly for Russia. So even the Ukraine has entered in this war as well. So yes, it has the potential to expand, but I think those who are running the strings of the governments in particularly in United States and Iran, they know how and when to control it, and this pause is a result of that. As soon as this was extending into the Red Sea, we saw this pause. So now again things are calmed down for some time and all that. So probably they will not let it explode out of proportion, because that will have serious consequences even for the United States, but they will keep it controlled escalation, as you say. They will keep it there. But one thing I want to clear when we talk about the Houthis, because again this Western media has told us that it is not just the Houthis which are against this. Uh, I don't want to go into the details. You know, when this Mansour Hadi was appointed, uh, Abdullah Saleh, who had been ruling for 33 years, Mr. Saleh was removed. And Saleh was not a Houthi, and all his people are also part of this coalition with the Houthis, and they are fighting against this because the Americans wanted certain uh, bases in Socotra Islands and all that, and that is why this Yemen conflict started, not because of proxy of Iran, not because they did anything wrong to Saudi Arabia, but because there is a Socotra island very close to Bab el Mandab in the Gulf of Aden, and United States wanted it to be a base as a replacement of their Diego Garcia base, and from there it all started, which the media doesn't tell us. If you check it now, probably you don't find it on the internet. It has been removed, but that was the issue actually, which ignited this Yemen problem. And then they told us it is all, of course, Iran exploited that and Iran helped those parties, but it is not really the Houthi problem. The other Yemenis are also a part of this. So we need to understand Yemen has become very explosive once again. And Yemen has that capacity to be effective on both sides, not only on Bab el Mandab side, but they are very close to the Strait of Hormuz also. And they are very close to these international sea cables which are going through. Probably one of these cables is being used to stream our video at the moment. There are about I think 7 undersea cables moving through that part of the world, and if they are cut, then you can imagine what havoc will happen to the communication around the world. So yes, I think it will be controlled. It won't go out of proportions.
Finally, when we talk of American, system, the decision-making system as a state, uh, the same we see in Iranian system as well, because there are certain, analysis and the news and criticism that the political leadership or the diplomatic leadership, they want to have a kind, they want to continue with the MOU that was being signed in naturally, virtually. There is a IRGC, which in fact is playing as a deep state in Iran, and it is calling the shots at the moment. So, do you think that that could also create a kind of a misunderstanding or some kind of a confusion when it comes to fulfill the promises that the Iranians made under the MOU or with the mediators for bringing a lasting peace in Middle East?
I'll confess that for me, the Iranian side is more complicated than the US. I have lived in Iran also. I worked with their army also, so I have some understanding of that. But for a simple person like me, I would have thought if Iran wants to close this war, you see the Achilles heel. What is the sensitive point which can stop the war? Is Strait of Hormuz very critical for United States of America? Is Qatar or Kuwait or Bahrain bases very critical for United States of America? I don't think so. I think the critical is Israel. That is critical. I think probably the critical would be the aircraft carriers out at the sea. But somehow, if Iran had put all these efforts, annoying all these states, and directed all these missiles towards Israel, probably the result would have been different. But now it appears to me that Iran is going for the long haul. And probably the religious clergy and the deep state is the same who are ruling Iran. The political government, is under the influence of the clergy. It has always been since the 79, the Imam Khomeini revolution. So they now are preparing for a very long haul. They are not looking at stopping the war or just hurting Israel. They want to sort out the Gulf security architecture also. They want to tell the Gulf countries that having United States bases on their soil is not security but vulnerability. So they are taking a lot of punishment just to sort out this for once and for all. So they are doing it for a long haul. But it is in the interest of the United States to close the war as soon as possible. But again, as I said, they'll have to watch the happenings in the greater Israel project. And as soon as they think they are ready, then they will probably come for a permanent solution. So Iran does not seem to be in a hurry, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Azhar, expert international affairs, for joining us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. God bless you.